Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a time in life when we must make a choice between the past that is familiar and the future that is uncertain but promising. Too often, people find themselves drawn back to old relationships, old towns, and old jobs, believing that somehow this time will be different. But the truth is, if something was meant for you, it wouldn't have required you to leave in the first place. Growth is uncomfortable. It demands change. It requires us to step into the unknown, to explore new possibilities, and to trust that better things lie ahead. The past, no matter how nostalgic, is a closed chapter. Reopening it only leads to the same storyline, the same struggles, and the same endings. Growth is an essential part of life, and with growth comes change. It is natural to feel drawn to what is familiar, old relationships, past jobs, or the town we once called home. The comfort of what we already know often feels safer than stepping into the unknown. However, real progress in life does not come from revisiting the past. It comes from embracing new experiences, learning from past mistakes, and trusting that the future holds better opportunities. One of the biggest obstacles to personal growth is the tendency to look back. We convince ourselves that maybe, just maybe, things will be different if we return to what we left behind. We recall the good times and ignore the reasons we moved on in the first place. This is where many people make the mistake of romanticizing the past instead of focusing on creating a better future. Consider relationships, for example. When a relationship ends, it does so for a reason. Whether it's a lack of respect, continuous conflicts, or personal differences that cannot be reconciled. Yet many people find themselves going back, thinking that things will somehow improve. The reality is that patterns rarely change unless there is significant personal growth from both individuals. And even if that growth occurs, some relationships are simply not meant to be repeated. Going back often leads to reliving the same pain, the same struggles, and ultimately the same ending. The same applies to jobs and places. A job that made you miserable once will likely make you miserable again, if nothing fundamental has changed. If the work culture was toxic, if you felt undervalued, or if it drained your passion, then going back won't fix those issues. Similarly, moving back to a town you once left behind might feel nostalgic at first, but soon you'll remember why you left. The opportunities that pulled you away, the dreams that drove you forward, and the need for something bigger will still exist. Growth requires courage. It asks us to step outside of our comfort zones and embrace uncertainty. It demands that we trust ourselves enough to move forward, even when the future is unclear. Instead of looking back, we must focus on the possibilities ahead. Every new experience, every challenge, and every step forward shapes us into stronger, wiser individuals. Life is a journey, and it is meant to be traveled forward, not in circles. Growth happens when we allow ourselves to evolve, to discover new passions, and to build a future that aligns with our true potential. Holding on to the past only limits what we can achieve. The best version of yourself is not behind you, it is still ahead. The life you dream of, the happiness you seek, and the success you desire all exist in the future, not in the past. So trust yourself, keep moving forward, and never go back to what no longer serves you. Let the past be a lesson, not a destination. The past is a great teacher, but it is not meant to be repeated. Every experience we go through, whether positive or negative, leaves us with lessons that help shape who we are. However, many people struggle with moving forward and instead find themselves drawn back to old relationships, jobs, or places, believing that things might be different the second time around. The truth is, if something did not work before, it is unlikely to work now. The key to personal growth is learning from past experiences rather than reliving them. When a relationship ends, it is usually because something was broken. It could be a lack of trust, constant misunderstandings, or simply growing apart. Yet, after some time has passed, people often forget the pain and focus only on the good memories. They start to believe that maybe things were not as bad as they seemed. This illusion of nostalgia can be dangerous. If the foundation of the relationship was weak, no amount of hope can change it. More often than not, going back only results in the same issues resurfacing. If you were not respected before, if you were not appreciated before, what makes you think it will be different now? Relationships require growth from both sides. And without genuine change, history will repeat itself. The same principle applies to jobs. Many people leave jobs because they feel stuck, unappreciated, or exhausted by a toxic work environment. But after facing challenges in a new role or struggling to find something better, they begin to consider returning to their old job. The familiarity feels comforting, but they forget why they left in the first place. Going back may bring temporary relief, but in the long run it often leads to the same dissatisfaction. If the work environment was unhealthy before, if your skills were undervalued before, then returning will not fix those problems. The job will still be the same, and so will the reasons you wanted to leave. Moving back to a place you once left behind can also be a mistake. Maybe you moved away in search of better opportunities, a fresh start, or personal growth. But over time, nostalgia can make you long for the comfort of your old home. However, when you return, you realize that the town has not changed, or worse, that you have outgrown it. The things that once felt familiar now feel limiting. The dreams that pushed you forward are still calling, reminding you that your journey was never meant to take you backward. Life is about progress, not repetition. The past provides valuable lessons, but those lessons are meant to guide us forward, not pull us back. Instead of returning to what once was, use what you have learned to create something better. Trust that moving forward, no matter how uncertain it feels, is always the right choice. Growth happens when we embrace new opportunities, not when we repeat old mistakes. Keep looking ahead. The best is yet to come. The comfort zone is one of the greatest obstacles to personal growth. It is a space of familiarity, safety, and predictability, where everything feels known and secure. However, it is also a place that can keep people trapped, preventing them from reaching their full potential. Many individuals find themselves drawn back to old relationships, jobs, or places simply because they are familiar. They choose what feels safe rather than what will help them grow. But staying in a comfort zone often leads to stagnation, missed opportunities, and an unfulfilled life. When a person considers returning to an old relationship, it is often not because it was truly good for them, but because it feels easier than starting over. The fear of the unknown, the uncertainty of finding someone new, the possibility of being alone, or the effort it takes to build something from scratch can make the past seem appealing. The mind plays tricks, making people remember the good times while minimizing the struggles. But familiarity does not equal happiness. Just because something feels safe does not mean it is the right choice. If a relationship did not bring out the best in you before, it will not magically do so now. The same applies to jobs. Many people leave jobs because they feel undervalued, unchallenged, or drained by a toxic environment. But when they face difficulties in a new job or struggle to find another opportunity, they consider going back. The previous job starts to seem better simply because it was known and predictable. However, the truth remains, if it did not fulfill you before, it will not fulfill you now. A comfort zone can feel like a lifeline in difficult times, but in reality, it is a trap that keeps you from pursuing something greater. Letting go is one of the most challenging yet powerful things a person can do. It requires strength, self-awareness, and the ability to accept that some things are not meant to stay in our lives. Whether it is a relationship that no longer serves us, a job that drains us, or a place that holds us back, holding on too tightly can prevent us from moving forward. Many people struggle with letting go because they believe that leaving something behind means losing a part of themselves. However, true growth comes when we understand that letting go is not a loss. It is a gain. Holding on to something that no longer benefits you only limits your potential. When a relationship ends, for example, it is easy to dwell on the good times and ignore the reasons why it had to end. The memories, the shared experiences, and the sense of familiarity can create an emotional attachment that makes it difficult to move on. However, if a relationship was filled with pain, disrespect, or stagnation, then holding on to it does not serve you. Walking away is an act of self-respect. It is a decision to prioritize your well-being over the comfort of what is familiar. The same is true for jobs. Many people stay in jobs that make them miserable simply because they are afraid of change. They convince themselves that it is better to stay in a secure but unfulfilling position rather than risk the unknown. But staying in a place where you are undervalued, overworked, or uninspired prevents you from discovering new opportunities. Letting go of a job that drains you is not a failure. It is a step towards something better. The world is full of opportunities, but they cannot be found if you refuse to leave what no longer serves you. Even places can become emotional attachments. A town you grew up in, a home filled with memories, or a familiar environment can feel like a part of who you are. But sometimes these places become cages rather than homes. If you feel like you have outgrown your surroundings, if your dreams and ambitions are calling you elsewhere, then staying in the same place out of fear or nostalgia only holds you back. Letting go of a place does not mean forgetting where you came from. It means honoring your growth and giving yourself permission to seek more. Letting go is not about giving up. It is about making space for new beginnings. It is about choosing your future over your past and believing that something better is ahead. The past may have shaped you, but it does not have to define you. Every time you let go of what no longer serves you, you make room for something greater. So trust yourself. Release what holds you back. Walk forward with confidence, knowing that by letting go, you are making space for something truly meaningful. The best things in life come not from clinging to the past, but from embracing the future with open arms. People and places change, but not always in the way we expect or hope. Many people find themselves longing to return to an old relationship, job, or hometown, believing they will find things just as they left them. They convince themselves that the past was better, that the people they knew are still the same, or that the town they left behind still holds the same warmth. However, change is inevitable. The people we once knew have grown in their own ways, sometimes in directions that no longer align with ours. The places we remember have evolved, and more importantly, so have we. Hughes, the biggest mistakes people make is assuming that revisiting the past will bring back the same feelings of comfort, love, or familiarity. But in reality, time changes everything. The relationship that once felt like home may no longer fit who you have become. The job you once had may no longer align with your ambitions. The town you left behind may feel smaller, quieter, and more distant than you remember. Expecting the past to remain the same only sets us up for disappointment. When it comes to relationships, we often remember the best moments while forgetting the reasons why they ended. Maybe you had a deep connection with someone, shared laughter, and built memories. But if the relationship ended due to toxic patterns, lack of mutual respect, or differing life goals, those issues will still exist. Even if people change, they don't always change in a way that benefits the relationship. What once felt familiar may now feel foreign. Walking back into an old relationship expecting the same emotions can often lead to heartbreak, as both individuals have grown in different ways.